Live from Pitt Studios inside the Peterson Event Center and on the campus of the University of Pittsburgh, it's the Pat Narduzzi Show with head football coach Pat Narduzzi. I'm Larry Richard. Good to be here, Coach. Congratulations on another road win last Friday night in Syracuse.
It was a good win. You know, I didn't realize until after the game. Coach Whipple told me, he went back and looked. The last 10 outings, in that dome, they've only lost to two teams.
Right.
Us and Clemson. And, so there's been a lot of teams that have gone to that dome and couldn't win. So regardless of what the score was, 1 point or 25 points, winning the dome is big.
You, as a head coach in your fifth year, have moved up the ladder in ACC wins right behind Clemson. I know you don't look at those stats, but we do.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
A little scary. That means we've got a terrible non-conference schedule.
I don't know about that. You've had some real challenges over the last few years. You're at 5-2 and 2-1 in the ACC. Keep trying to stack wins. This weekend, it's the Miami Hurricanes come blowing into Heinz Field for a noon kick. It's homecoming. Overall, the program against the Canes has struggled, though you found a way to upset when they were ranked second in the country 2 years ago, and it was Kenny Pickett's first opportunity, and he made the most of that. Disappointing last year down in Miami. They were 7-6 overall, but the Hurricanes have struggled this year. They're not as good as they have been in previous years. They have a new head coach, Manny Diaz.
Yeah, you watch the tape and you see a lot of great athletes. I think offensively, new offensive coordinator and Danny knows. I think they're trying to put their system in, and we'll find out. But they're a dangerous football team. You said they're coming blowing into Heinz Field. I like that. But they're a really good football team. You watch the talent that's running around out there. Sometimes maybe running in the wrong direction, but they're talented and a dangerous football team, in my opinion.
You mentioned it earlier this week that they do recruit very well down in the South Florida area. As you know, they have a lot of great athletes in a lot of positions, and we'll talk about the Miami Hurricanes a little more in depth. Let's back up for a little bit in the Syracuse game. You got the running game going a little more. You got that 100-yard game from A.J. Davis, which is moving in the right direction. How would you assess the team performance overall?
Overall, obviously the defense, played a great game, really, when you look at it. Gave up a big 94-yard pass in cover 3, which will drive a defensive coach nuts. So he drives nuts, Bates nuts, not me. Randy Bates, that is. But, giving up that big pass really just takes a win. Put the crowd back in the game in the dome. And, those are things, we've got to eliminate if we want to be a championship defense. And then offensively, again, we did some nice things, especially the first half. Second half, I think we got a little conservative. We started to try to get our run game going. And we were able to, do some things that we liked in the, second quarter and third quarter, and even the fourth quarter with that 4-minute drive.
And you're stacking wins. Good teams find a way to win even when they have a little letdown. And for some reason, the third quarter, the second quarter's been terrific. Your first halves, you're putting up a lot of points, and then for whatever reason, and then you seem to get readjusted, and into the fourth quarter, get it turned around. Now, you put the ball in the hands of your offense. You needed a couple first downs at the end of that game to avoid Syracuse getting a chance to win. I bet you were happy that you were able to possess the ball and get them on the ground.
No question about it. And we've changed some things around even in practice this week, just kind of flipping around the periods, just to change it up and kind of put in a halftime and then second half of practice, just to see if we get a little spark in the third quarter.
I would imagine that the players really appreciate the fact that you have a situation like that, and they know. I hear them at halftime in the locker room. You don't have to tell them.
What do they say? I'm not
aware. Professional confidence on what they say, but they are aware. So when you come out right before they take the field in the second half, to kind of get that last word in,
they already know.
A lot of times they're very cognizant of it. So if you put 4 quarters together with the talent you have on this team, you could play with anybody in the league.
There's no question about it. I'm excited about the football team we have, the kids we have, the character we have, and it's nice to win 5 games and really not play a complete game yet. And I've seen that happen plenty of times. We'll put it all together. It's just how soon and how late.
So once again, you had a little oddity in your schedule because you played Friday night, What did the team do on Saturday? Did you give them the day off?
Gave them the day off. They needed a rest after that. We worked on some game plan stuff, as far as, the football part of it. They usually have a day off on a Sunday and Monday, so they're used to a couple. So they got really an extra day just to get fresh. We did our business as coaches, and then, way ahead as far as just the game plan goes.
And when we come back, we want to talk about some of the players who were standouts for you last week as we get ready for homecoming in the Miami Hurricanes. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
They helped me a lot to just, mold me who I am.
Pitt just has it all.
Everyone is on their feet.
Hail to Pitt. We just witnessed history.
Pitt Beyond the Script, weekly on AT&T Sportsnet.
Shotgun snap. Pickett throws the pass, back shoulder fade, and it's pulled in. Touchdown! What a play! Pickett on the back shoulder fade to Maurice French, and he beat Scoop Bradshaw and got to the end zone from 14 yards out, and the Panthers crack open a bigger lead.
Voice of the Panthers, Bill Hillgrove, describing another touchdown. Kenny Pickett on the year has thrown for 1,602 yards, 8 touchdowns in 6 games. And you're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show. Coach, talk about Kenny Pickett, your quarterback's performance at Syracuse last Friday night.
I think Kenny did a nice job. It started off a little slow. I was at that first series, and his many hits. I think if he had 6 plays, he took 5 hits. And I was like, we better start controlling the front here a little bit more. But the offensive line settled down. We made some little adjustments as far as just what they were doing early in that game, and our kids did a nice job. And Kenny had a great game.
As you always point out, there are 11 other athletes on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
And some of them are talented too.
Yeah.
So it's a great chess battle, especially up front. But yeah, he took some hits early. I could see him wincing a little bit. He's a tough customer.
He really is. He's tough, and he had a little talking with the offensive line at halftime too, like, "Hey, let's go, guys." I mean, it's tough. It affects the quarterback when you can put some hits on. Obviously, we affected their quarterback in a negative way, and it affects quarterbacks. So thank God he didn't get affected. Was still effective as that game went on.
It was one of the rare times at halftime where he was as vocal. Kenny Pickett this week.
He was.
I noticed that myself. I made a note of
that. You don't see him that vocal, but it was good, to see, a player step up and try to lead. It seems so often, they rely on the coaches to help lead them, but I think some of the best teams I've been around, the players lead the football team.
And on the other side of the ball, your team has been terrific. You now lead. You have the nation's top pass rush, 9 sacks against Syracuse. They didn't know what to do at times. They really didn't. Your guys got after them, and you had to face 2 quarterbacks.
The pressure we've put on quarterbacks this year has been outstanding, and it's a credit to our defensive staff and obviously our players for executing the pressures or the fronts that we've put at them. So we got to continue to get that going.
To be successful at that, it starts up front on defense too, because if you're forcing throws or making quarterbacks uncomfortable, then what you're asking your D-backs to do in one-on-one coverage helps them too. And let's talk about your defensive backs making plays.
Yeah, really the guy that stood out to me Saturday, was DeMar Hamlin. I mean, he played outstanding. I mean, I think he had 3 pass breakups, 8 tackles, but just some of they spread you out in some of the formations, and you're playing man-to-man, and he's playing off-man most of the time, which we knew we'd be in that situation like we were when Central Florida came to town. And he just made some one-on-one tackles and some PBUs that are just hard to make, and it's opened some eyes in the NFL, that's for sure.
Let's talk about your weekly awards. When you get a victory, you recognize players. You mentioned DeMar Hamlin. He was your defensive player of the week with those 8 tackles. Let's talk about some of your other guys that are on the list this week.
Yeah, well, A.J. Davis was the offensive player of the week. And, it's that 100 yards everybody's talking about, but it's that 3rd down and 2 that I really appreciate. That 3rd down and 2 in that 4-minute was a hard, tough run. It was only 2 yards. If he had one carry for 2 yards, that was the most important 2 yards of the day, because as a head coach on the sideline, wherever that ball was, it looked like it was about between the 30 and the 40-yard line, across the 50. And you're wondering as head coach, if we gain 1 yard and it's 4th and 1, am I going for it or are we punting? And if you go for it and don't get it and you give them a short field, we're in trouble. And they, had moved the ball a little bit in the second half. So there were some decisions to make there, but he made the decision real easy when he got that 1st down.
Yeah, I know there was a collective sigh of relief on the sideline when he was able to get that 1st down. Who else is on your list? I see Alex Kessman.
Alex Kessman, did you think you'd see that early in the year? I think people were ready to cancel him out, but he's back, and I thought that weeks ago, and he looked strong. He had 5 touchbacks, obviously 2 for 2 from the field goal area, and some clutch, a 47-yarder. That's not an easy kick. I don't care if it's 47 or 52. They're all about the same.
That's a legit kick.
That's a legit kick, and it went right down the middle. It wasn't something that bounced off an upright and went in. So I think he's back, and I can't tell you he'll be perfect, but I think he's back to where he was a year ago, and that's what we needed.
So let's talk about your offensive lineman of the week. Let me guess. Center Jimmy Morrissey.
Yeah, you got it right. Jimmy's outstanding. I'm watching him today in practice. Just call out stuff up front. He knows what's going on. If everybody would just listen to him or could hear him, sometimes that tackle on either side doesn't hear him, or I didn't get the call, or changes the call. But he's outstanding. His mental part of the game is I don't know if there's a better center in the country as far as the mental part. I'm sure there's some bigger guys and some stronger guys, but there's no one mentally as strong as that guy is.
He really is locked in and knows the game. And you can tell. And, for a young guy, when he got his first starts, it was extraordinary to have someone in that position be that old soul on the front line.
That's right. I mean, he's a special kid, and he'll play in the NFL without a doubt. And more because of what he knows up front. He makes everybody better because he knows what's going on. It's a pleasure to go down there and watch him in practice, just working drills and talk the communication, because you can stand right there on the sideline. You don't get to hear it. He's doing it, but you don't get to hear it. But when you stand right there and listen to what he knows, based on hands that are down, stances, it's not just alignment. It's all the other details that are incredible.
Let's talk about some of your unsung heroes.
On special teams, Todd Sibley, and again, there was one tackle. I kind of teased him in the team meeting on Sunday. He looked like a linebacker running down. The one time, they got a great punt returner, and Riley took it out, bounced it outside to the field, and he looked like a linebacker, not a tailback. I told him, we maybe play you both ways.
Tracked him down.
He tracked him down, and that thing could have been out the gate and changed the game again. But he had a great tackle, inside out, just like you coach a linebacker. And defensively, we had 2 guys. Kylan Johnson, he continues to be a force with a sack and a half and 5 tackles, and Jay Stalker came in and played quite a bit with 6 tackles, a sack, and a TFL. And then on offense, probably one of his better games. Rashad Wheeler graded out 83% and had some good blocks in the run game. When we put a fullback, which is maybe 12, 15 times a game, but I kind of challenged him before the game to, hey, why don't you make Coach Whipple put you in more? If you block someone better, maybe he'll put you in. How about knocking someone on their tail? And he took the challenge and came out and did some great things. So I was happy for Rashad. And then, of course, Maurice French with those 6 catches and almost 100 yards and a TD. That back shoulder in the end zone was fabulous.
And before you announce your defensive attack force player of the week, let's give the Rock players a shout out.
Yeah, the Rock players of the week, special teams was Jackson Henry. Again, walk-on linebacker from the Hun School, New Jersey. He's done an outstanding week every week. And then defensively, wide receiver Garrett Bickard, and I say defensively, he services the defense, but a wide receiver that gives us a great look, that traveled with us last week as well as a walk-on. He's done some great things. He's come a long way.
Pretty exciting for him to
get
on the charter.
Get on the charter. You like that charter?
Sure I do. That means it's business time. We're going.
But no, he's from the first day he's come here to where he is now, it's major improvement out of Garrett Bickard. So, and then offensively, Jack Hansberry. He's our backup long snapper, but also wanted to play linebacker and does a nice job for us.
All right, and Patrick Jones II, your defensive attack force player of the week. He's our special guest, and he'll join us when we return on the Pat Narduzzi Show here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Time has come. We talk about responding and being a great football team, and that's what we got in here. Don't you ever question that. 1, 2, 3, go!
Everyone gets
first Coastal Championship. Intercepted at the 29-yard line.
And he's gone! Matthews. Got it! Panthers win!
Hail to Pitt.
I love the connection that we're starting to develop together.
Kessman drives all the way in. Alley-oop jam by Brown. East Tony 15-footer is good. McGowan goes in for the jam. Wow! And the place is on fire.
We have to fight for it, we have to want it, and we have to go take it. That's our focus right now. We're going to be good. Trust me on that.
That will do it. Hail to Pittsburgh.
Touchdown, Pittsburgh!
Thank you for coming.
You know, they helped me a lot to just, mold me who I am.
Pitt just has it all.
Everyone is on their feet.
Hail to Pitt.
We just witnessed history.
Pitt Beyond the Script, weekly on AT&T Sportsnet.
Welcome back to the Pat Narduzzi Show. Coach Narduzzi, we welcome one of your defensive monsters, defensive end Patrick Jones, the second, number 91, tackle by, pressure by, sack by. Patrick, congratulations on another big win on the road.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What was your experience like in that dome? Because that's one of the oddest places in college football to play.
It was definitely a different experience because it was in a dome, but we've been up there before, so we knew what it was like. It was going to be loud because everything was packed in, so we knew we were going to have to be very sharp with our communication.
And I should point out, you're a redshirt junior.
Yes, sir.
From Chesapeake, Virginia.
Yes, sir.
And how was your experience here at the University of Pittsburgh-Bend? Because all of a sudden, I noticed Bill Hillgrove saying your name a lot every week.
It's definitely been good. Pittsburgh is definitely a good experience for me. I had a lot of growing I did in Pittsburgh, and it definitely helped mold me into the person I am today.
Coach, what do you think? How do you attribute the success of your defensive front? Patrick, well, maybe we should ask you up front, what are you guys doing right that you're getting so many sacks and leading the nation?
It's the coaching. I mean, we got great coaches, so we just listen to them, go out there, do what they tell us to do, and you see what happens.
We got great players. He's going to say the coaches, I say players. Again, they listen, and I guess maybe a combination.
So as you get ready for Miami's Hurricanes, a lot of good athletes on that team. Disappointing last year. A great game 2 years ago when you upset them when they were number 2 in the country, knocked them out of the playoffs. So what do you anticipate as you get ready for the Miami Hurricanes with a young quarterback?
I mean, they just came off the loss from Georgia Tech, so I'm anticipating a real hungry team, a team that's really trying to win, because they got their backs against the wall, and a dog's most dangerous when their backs against the wall. So we really have to come out, turn it up a notch this week, and get ready to go.
Take us through your mindset as you're getting closer to that quarterback. I got this.
My mindset, first when I get in my stance, I could feel it sometimes. I get real low on my stance and try to get a real good get off and try to jump the count. And then once I go and I feel that I beat the offensive lineman, first thing that goes in my head is I gotta get it, I can't miss it. And then I go for the upfield shoulder, and then I'll see it, and then half of the time I just hit him, and then I get up, I'm like, wow, I got the sack.
And what do you foresee in your future? I mean, you got another year of football. You're in the criminal justice major. What do you want to do down the road beyond football?
Down the road beyond football, one thing I definitely want to do, I want to give back to people back home, because there's a lot of people that I know don't have everything that I was blessed with growing up. I was blessed with a lot growing up. So I definitely want to do that. And with my major, my dad was in the military, so when football is done with, I might look into going to the military like my dad.
The focus is on homecoming and playing the Miami Hurricanes. We want to come back, talk a little bit more. We have a few questions for you that
okay.
are not the typical. We'll learn more about Patrick Jones II when we return on the Pat Narduzzi Show. This is the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
A.J. Davis, quick count. He gets down to the 2, first down. He's near the goal line. Touchdown! A.J. Davis, his third of the season from 5 yards out.
And he had a 100-yard game, which is what the coaches That's always the ethereal number. I mean, it doesn't matter a few yards here or there, but everybody knows, oh, if you get 100 yards as a running back, that's good. So that was the voice of the Panthers, Bill Hillgrove. Welcome back to the Pat Narduzzi Show. I'm Larry Richert with head coach Pat Narduzzi and our special guest, defensive end Patrick Jones II. So we have a few questions for you. Before we get to those, Coach told me you were born in Japan.
Yes, sir.
I assume because your dad's in the military or was in the military, right?
Yes, sir.
And how long, do you have any recollection of being in Japan? Do you like sushi?
I do. So I was actually born in Japan, and I lived there for about 8 years on and off. So then I moved from Virginia. I mean, before I moved to Virginia, I lived in Japan.
Do you speak any Japanese at all?
No, sir, I don't.
Arigato, because I missed it.
I understand that.
You do?
Understand that. I can understand a little bit, but I'm not really fluent.
Well, if you hear me on the sideline yell, "Wakarimasu ka?" That means you got another sack. All right, we have a few questions now. Cale Berger, who's with our team, he's back at Central Headquarters, our mothership. And this week, in our pregame show, which, by the way, starts at 10, kickoff at noon at Heinz Field with the Hurricanes coming in, we have 10 questions. So Cale asked, this week it's Kenny Pickett. Quarterback Kenny Pickett will get the questions. So we pick a few and see, take you out of football for a moment. So who is your hero and why?
My hero? My parents, for sure. My parents, definitely my hero. They do so much for me. Like, it's just, I'll do anything for them. If I call them whenever I need them, they'll come. My parents are my hero.
And they're hard on you, too, now.
They are.
They're hard, military hard.
What branch of service was your father in?
My dad was in the Navy. He served in the Navy for 30 years.
Well, thank him for his service, and we appreciate all the men and women who serve and their families. All right, next question. This one is the one that Coach loves. The top 3 artists on your Spotify.
Top 3 artists?
Let's see if Coach knows any of these.
Right now, I definitely got to go with... That's a hard one. That's a real hard one. Polo G, definitely.
Polo G, of course.
Polo G.
I used to wear Polo Cologne a long time ago. Yeah.
Who else? The Baby for sure.
The Baby,
The
okay.
Baby.
Are these bands or just the songs?
No, these are rappers. These are rappers.
These are rappers, huh? The Baby.
The Baby and my last one, if I had to choose one, NBA Youngboy.
NBA?
NBA Youngboy.
Okay. Coach, you have any
I
clue?
don't know any of them. The NBA, the NFL, I don't know.
All right. Which of your teammates is most likely to become famous in something other than football?
I had to go with Amir.
I knew you were going to say
I had
that.
to go with Amir.
Amir Watts.
Amir could be a comedian. He could be out there right now wrestling. Amir's got that personality where, like, he just makes people want to like him. Like, no matter how mad you are at him, he gonna make you want to like him.
Well, Patrick, good luck against the Miami Hurricanes, and
Thank
appreciate you making time for us to come and join us on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Red Shirt Jr., the big man, Patrick Jones II. And when we come back, former Pitt quarterback Pat Bostic will join us, and we'll talk about the Miami Hurricanes. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Time has come. We talk about responding and being a great football team, and that's what we got in here. Don't you ever question that. 1, 2, 3, go, man!
You have won Pitt's first Coastal Championship.
Intercepted at the 29-yard line.
And he's gone! Matthews. Got it! Panthers win!
Hail to Pitt.
I love the connection that we're starting to develop together.
Kessman drives all the way in. Alley-oop jam by Brown. These Tony 15-footer is good. McGowan's goes in for the jam. Wow! And the place is on fire.
We have to fight for it, we have to want it, and we have to go take it. That's our focus right now. We're going to be good. Trust me on that.
Welcome back to the Pat Narduzzi Show inside the Peterson Event Center. I'm Larry Richert with Pat Narduzzi. We just had Patrick Jones, and now Pat Bostic, former quarterback and Associate Athletic Director for Major Gifts.
Major gifts.
Major.
Again.
Every week we talk about that. I'm going to change my title.
Let's talk about the Miami Hurricanes. They're 3-4 overall. They've had a disappointing start to their season. They're only 1-3 in the ACC. They have a new head coach, Manny Diaz. He's not a stranger. He was there with Coach Rick, who, by the way, we understand had a heart attack last week. I just learned that from you guys, and hope that he's okay. And
he's in good shape, and he's text messages. So
he's texting you.
He's texting. He's good to go.
Then you are good to go. So what do we know about Manny Diaz, Miami Hurricanes 2019?
You know what? Obviously, it's a Manny Diaz defense still. I mean, they're still very active. They do a lot of stunts and pressures up front. Some of their stunts, their nose tackle stunts, were really disruptive. We've worked real hard this week on trying to stop those. And the nose tackle, again, they're physical, and they did some puncturing of our offensive line a year ago. So we worked hard on that this week, and they've disrupted a lot of people's backfield with that, and they're going to blitz, and we know they're athletic. So it's the same defense we saw. This year offensively, they're a little bit more pro style. A year ago, if you remember, they lined up in 4 wideouts, which was probably the worst thing you could, go down to Miami and let them be 4 wideouts. You're like, put 2 tight ends in the game, please. But the more speed they put on the field, I think the harder it is, at least, against Miami. You don't mind other people, like, when they put the 4 receivers out there. Their tight ends were hurt, where their tight ends are back now. Brevin's a good player. Mallory's a good player, number 85. The grandson of old Bill Mallory at Indiana, the old head coach at Indiana. So, again, more pro style. They do a lot of different stuff, a lot of motion, and a lot of different formations.
What about a quarterback? They've played both guys. They seem to both be healthy. Perry, Williams. Who do you anticipate you'll see, or maybe both?
I think we're going to see both, Pat. I mean, they're both healthy. Williams came in in that game to relieve Nkosi for a little bit, and did a nice job. I think they were happy with what they saw, at least listen to their press conferences down there. What you hear, who knows. But so they liked what they saw, and I think they're both healthy. I think Perry's got a little bit of a shoulder, non-throwing shoulder, so I don't know how that is a quarterback. I think I'd be fine, but so we'll see how that goes. But, they're both very, very capable. They both have nice arms. They both throw some different balls in different areas. And Perry can probably, scramble and hurt you with his legs a little bit more maybe than Jaron, but I say that Jaron will be taken. I wouldn't think number 11 for Syracuse could run like he did.
On defense, it seemed like we were calling their guy in the middle a lot. Shaq Quarterman, he seemed to be everywhere. So you're going to have an answer for him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's funny, Alex Bookser came in the office today. He's back for homecoming, for this weekend. He came in from New York, and he went in the O-line meeting room. He was watching some tape. He's like, he's still there?
Yeah.
I mean, he's played him all his years here. He's been there forever, and he's a beast inside. They've struggled a little bit with their kicking game. Let's just talk about their kicker. They've had some issues. I think 3 missed field goals last week, and they're talking about, they're not sure which one of the 3 kickers will play in this game.
And that is an important, chemistry that develops over time, that once you get it locked down, you can't overstress the importance.
No doubt about it. You want to keep those 3 together. Our guys are hanging out together all day, practice, working on, the fundamentals of what they need to do. I mean, everybody talks about what the rest of the guys do, but those guys do work hard. I mean, they're not physically working hard, but there's a lot of mental, getting the snap back where you don't have to turn the ball. I mean, all that stuff is so critical, and our guys do an outstanding job.
And Pat, we thank you for coming down here on wrestling night at the Pitt.
Yeah, I got to go get changed. Ready for my cameo.
Put your Speedo on again.
No, that's Larry.
Singlet. All right.
It's not that kind of wrestling, Larry.
And we appreciate you listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show right here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.